my child done went out 2 days in a row, and I'm at home at 8 o'clock in the bed about to watch an episode of The Good Wife.
That's how you know you know.
Yeah. Because what was we doing? We was kicking. We was living. We was kicking it, honey.
Listen, we gonna get that episode one day, but I definitely do be letting Kiara know. I want to touch on what we were just talking about the trip thing. Mm-hmm. So Janez was telling me about what was it, TikTok?
TikTok. Mm-hmm.
Of a young lady that went on. Where she?
They went to Cabo, I do believe.
Okay.
And she done went on the girls' trip with no coins, no bread.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No money.
No money.
It went on this trip, a girl's trip with no money. And I am firsthand, I have been through that. And it's like, I feel like it's crazy because I hope her friends was pissed.
Oh, so the mutual, so it was a mutual friend's birthday. Mm-hmm. So the friend that ain't her friend was like, she was mad. She like, I'm not trying to babysit this girl. I don't want no parts. Like, why is she here?
Yeah.
And then the mutual friend, I guess apparently the mutual friend, because I done went down the rabbit hole. I had to invest.
That's how you know it's good when you go down the rabbit hole.
So I done went down. So they like, they done got back. The girl ain't even have a way to the crib from the airport.
Shut up. So, you ain't got a way to the airport?
She ain't have a way back home from the airport. And apparently, the two girls, the one with the coins and the birthday girl, they still cool. They friends because they was friends and they talked their stuff out. And, she like, it wasn't you, it's your home girl. That like, I wasn't feeling that. But then, we wanted to update, so I went down that whole scene. And she like, well, apparently, the birthday girl and the broke girl is still friends.
Ain't no way.
Ain't no way.
You went with...
definitely put a wedge between the relationship because at the end of the day, you should never go somewhere where you can't afford it.
Yeah, right. Why did you go? And here's the thing. I'm sure it wasn't like a spur of the moment type thing.
No, y'all had to have planned
Y'all planned this.
They said she got there. She had $9.
It ain't no way.
Ain't no way.
Any trip I go on, I planned it. You knew it was coming. You should have put some money up. That don't make no sense. I'd have left her right where she was at. I know figure it out. Because you knew you was coming. When I went on my trip to LA and them girls ain't had their money, that's on y'all. Mm-hmm. That is on y'all. Y'all should not have came. They thought he was going to foot the bill for them. Nah. Y'all should have had your money. And I mean, when I went down there, it was his 30th birthday. So I went all out. I had a chef come cook for everybody.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I had we had plans. We was going to go to the club and all of this stuff. And it was like, they didn't even have money. Like the next morning, we had agreed that, we was going to do breakfast. And I don't know if y'all ever been to LA, but LA expensive.
Yeah.
LA, girl, a pack of bacon was like $6. I said, this better be the best piece of bacon that I ever had. But it was like they couldn't go in on the breakfast. So I'm like spending money that I didn't allocate to do stuff. I was pissed. Never again.
Mm-hmm. And see that right there, regardless of your family or friends, you gotta understand, like, after we get back home, it's separated. It's separated because that's not how you roll, that's not how we roll, but at the end of the day, now you see how they roll, so why would you even invest in time or money anything
with
them again?
Yeah. And it sucks because that be the reason why I don't like going on trips with people. Because it's like, if I'm going on trips with people, I want to go with somebody that I know has been going on trips and have that money.
The other thing, too, is I could not fathom, okay, there's one thing, I couldn't fathom not being able to have somebody, even if you did get in a bind once you got out there, you underestimated, whatever, I couldn't fathom not having somebody in my corner that I could reach out to and, hey, can you, what I'm saying, spot me. But at the end of the day, I couldn't fathom going out the country.
Not out the country.
Going out the country. Like, anything could happen. Anything could happen, and we going out the country. We just, hey. Listen. You get one life to live, I guess. What is it? YOLO.
That puts
new meaning to YOLO. Because, honey, no. And it's crazy because we in the day and age where it's so easy to send people money. Mm-hmm. Remember back in the day where you only had Western Union?
Yeah.
That was it.
Walmart.
And then if you out of the country, you got to find somewhere to go get that money. It's like, but now we in a day and age where you got Venmo and PayPal.
She said all of that was broke.
All her services was broke.
Girl.
She should have stayed home and worked.
She should have stayed home.
Yeah.
Man,
Absolutely.
that is ridiculous. So you guys be mindful of who you going out of town with.
That's trifling that she would even come with no money.
No money.
No preparation. That's crazy.
That is so crazy. Q said that the TikTok investigators found a broke friend and having harassed her to pay the chick back the money. I know that's right.
I know that's right. Mm-hmm.
TikTok, y'all ruthless. Y'all is ruthless. But I'm learning. But that is crazy.
Yeah.
So, like I told you guys, the name of today's show is Intimacy Rights. So to kind of segue into the conversations, because it's about rights of, a dad, a father, and all of that. To segue into that conversation, I'm going to start off with, I know you guys heard the thing about Marlon Wayans. And if you haven't heard, it is a young lady that is going after Marlon Wayans for a fraternity test because she wants $18,000.
$18,000 wasn't enough.
It wasn't enough for child support. $18,000
a month?
And the child is only two.
Okay.
Straight gold digger.
If it don't say gold digger across every angle of this woman,
what do your child? Because
what do you need?
What do you need for a 2-year-old?
But that
means $18,000.
That means she got accustomed to that lifestyle, so she wants to stay accustomed to the lifestyle.
But was she really accustomed to the lifestyle? Was she just somebody that was hooking up? Because we don't know the dynamics of the situation. Because I am a firm believer in if you cultivate and you create and you got somebody, accustomed, and we was rocking and this how it was, to an extent, okay, but it's like any relationship. If we break up, I don't expect you to still finance me and we done broke up. Like, you wasn't my husband.
Yeah.
You wasn't like, we done broke up. Okay, you go your way, I go mine. So then we have a child. Do I think that you absolutely should be paying child support? Absolutely. Do I think that the child deserves a certain way of living? Yes. But $18,000.
And she's saying that's not enough. So my thing is, I mean, everybody knows I have a thing about child support. I feel like child support I don't like it because I shouldn't have to force you to take care of a kid. I didn't force you to make that kid.
Yes, I feel that.
And I that's why I feel it. But I do feel for the moms who have the dads that aren't doing anything at all. And I do feel like, child support is there because it's not cheap to raise a kid.
It's not.
The cost of living is ridiculous. Mm-hmm. And for her to ask for more than $18,000, it's like, honey, that sounds like you don't want to get up and get a job.
Yeah. At that point, it's like what am I contributing as a mother?
Yeah.
What am I doing? What am I responsible for? Because $18,000 a month, I don't care what preschool, daycare, you go,
not for $18,000.
What is that?
But see, it's also up to the courts. The court system allows that to happen too, no matter what state you're in. For most states in the country, the court system allows it. It goes based off of how much you make. So just say, just say, okay, you say the cost of living is higher. True. Okay, so now if the average person gets, just say $2,000, they have to pay $2,000 out of child support a month. So now cost of living is higher, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So now what about the father's living expenses? They don't calculate that. They don't calculate how much. The only thing they calculate is your rent. But the problem is, and they sometimes calculate that. They don't calculate your car note. They don't calculate your insurance, your cell phone. Those are your 3 major bills as an adult just to live and survive.
Just to survive.
And then we can take it the next step further to add groceries. Now, cost of living is higher, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cost of rent is higher, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm kicking out $2,000 a month in child support, then, okay, what are you doing as a mom as far as helping finances? I get that you got a roof over your head, you're clothing the child, and you're also feeding the child. But also, now I'm minus $2,000, which I don't see at all coming out. What about my living expenses? This is why, part of the reason why I'm trying to get this started as far as, the whole dad's thing, because it's sad because now the suicide rate for single dads has skyrocketed right now.
And it's ridiculous.
Because dads cannot afford that when the courts throw that $2,000 a month child support payment at you. You got to pay this for the next 18 years plus. Now I have to maintain this status of lifestyle or cost of living and financial and job wise on how to make money because now I know for the next 18 years, I have $2,000 a month coming out in child support. Now, they don't even factor in nothing else.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now, see, I do know that they have changed a little bit of how child support goes. They do now base it off of both.
Yeah, parents. That's what I was gonna say. I remember having to supply my income information.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, I do remember that. And that's what I was saying. They do base it off of both people's, income. But what I would say, I mean, I get that. Me personally, I just don't think that, that caliber of money monthly is, especially when we're looking at a baby.
Yeah.
Now, we all know, babies are expensive, but as the child grows, they get more expensive.
Yeah.
Honey, out of it,
18,000 sounds like she trying to finance her life.
But look at Dr. Dre's ex-wife. She's getting, she asked for, I think, like $2 or $3, $4 million, something like that. Outrageous a month.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but see, what we do now, again, I don't know the backstory of this. Mm-hmm. I don't know who this woman is in relation to him, other than, like, I don't know were they married, were they engaged, how long had they been together, or is this just a baby mama?
I think still doesn't matter.
But no, I feel like it does in the strength of, if I was your wife and we done built together and I done been doing, because wives play a lot of times. Mm-hmm. I won't generalize it, but we play the background so much. So when it comes to that, that's a different situation. Because like I was here. And I helped with this. We created that.
Because I hate to say it like this, your marriage wasn't like that. But and hear me out first. The reason I feel like she deserved her money, Dr. Dre, as far as when I'm talking about wife, is because she put her career off and supported him. And she maintained, she took care of them kids. She did all the things behind the scenes while he went out and made that money and cheated and did all this stuff. On top of it, we all know Dr. Dre's history. He was abusive. So he probably was beating her ass too, on top of it. So I think in that situation, she was warranted that money. Now, as far as like Marlon Wayne's situation, no, she just want that to live her lifestyle. Because, and this is my opinion, and you can let me know. I know, Miss Marie, you don't get child support, do you? No. Miss Marie?
Oh, no. Okay. I've been married for 20
years. You remember? Okay, I thought so. To me, child support don't take care of nothing.
No.
You actually get more money if the dad is supportive and there. Now, that's where I understand as far as, like, for dad's rights. If the dad is actively there and wanting to do stuff and giving money and everything, child support should not be able to be on the table. Because I've watched you, take care of your kids, even help with bills. I wish I had a baby father like him, okay? Mm-hmm. Because I've watched you do that. So to me, as a woman, I feel it's unfair that you pay child support.
Mm-hmm. And again, it goes down to the courts, just because, and every situation is different. We all know that.
Yeah, everything
so when it comes down to it, my ex-wife, my first baby mama, she, it was kind of an agreement, arrangement, or whatever, and it was like, I think it was like $60 a month or something like that. That was just something we had agreed. Got it on paper through the courts. Courts was okay with it. She was okay with it. I was okay with it. What do you do? There you go. But I was still supportive in other ways, even though the relationship between me and my son was rocky, but still at the end of the day, I still helped.
And you were still supporting everything.
So then when the divorce happened, of course, courts are going to look at that. Oh, that's off the table. Now we're going to go for child support.
Yeah, and that is an automatic, because I didn't put my ex-husband on child support.
That's the problem.
When we got divorced, the judge immediately, like before, I was still standing there. Mind you, my ex-husband went to the courthouse when we got divorced, and he signed the papers, and he left. He did not stay for the hearing. He did not. She ruled and did everything without him present. Wow. And that immediately, that day, my divorce was final December 9th, 2014. Mm-hmm. That same day, she enacted a child support order. That same day. But what I will say is, yes, it's fabulous and it's great if you have that active parent, be it either way, be it a single father or a single mother, if you have that other person being active and being there. But I will say, a lot of times that's not the case. A lot of times that's not the case. So where it's times that I can't pick up the phone and be like, hey, you know, the kid need A, B, or C, or we need to do this and that and the 12, it's not going to happen. So it's like, even as little bit, I couldn't sit here and lie and say how many times that it done came in clutch because this need to get done or that need to get done.
You know I definitely can say that too.
It would be beautiful if people were mature, and I think that that's the maturity rate as well with co-parenting. If people were mature enough to say, you know, this is we don't just say the basics. This is the basics and what it will take to take care of this child or these children, and we can come up with this amicably like adults. But unfortunately, when relationships fizzle, or you know, unless like you guys are friends and we just had this kid or so on and so forth, and you're able to do it like that, it's really difficult because in those moments, emotions are extremely high. People feel how they feel. You know? So
and that's another thing too. It's like sometimes you gotta take your emotion out of those kind of situations, and I know it's hard to do because at the end of the day, it's about the child. So when it goes down to the courts, you know, because the first thing the court's going to tell you, it's what's in the best interest of the child. The best interest of the child is to have both parents in the same household.
Absolutely.
Here's the thing. Here's the problem when you have two separate households, that kind of fizzles off the door. Why does it fizzle off the door? Because the courts doesn't care anymore. They only care when the couple and the kids are in the same household. Once it gets outside of the household, then that's when you get the child support that comes into play. That's when you have to have all of these visitation rights come into play. You got to have all of that come into play now. Now, as long as there's no abuse towards the child from any parent, I think it should still should be that shared parenting.
Yeah.
Because now, what happens is in most states, including Ohio, the parenting is left on to the mother's side for the most part. So now you have split minimum 60-40 at minimum. But now then reality sinks in, it's now 80-20. So it's like if the courts say the best interest of the child is to have both parents in the household and both parents in the child's life, but the problem is once it gets into that court system, that goes out the door. Why is that? And that's what I'm trying to change, because I shouldn't have to pay child support, this amount of child support, but then I only get 10% of my 10% of time with my child throughout the month.
Now I do agree with you and I understand what you say. And I can say in my situation with my child's father, I think I was the only one that wasn't on papers. I think everybody else had, because you had shared.
So what we did, so it was, you know, we got history. So it was not me that went down.
Okay.
It was not me. My son's dad went down and wanted custody of my son. And went down, took his self down to them folks' courthouse and decided that he wanted full custody of my child. Now, I wasn't unfit. I hadn't did nothing. Me and you just don't judge. We just don't like each other.
That emotion part.
And it was the emotion, and I wasn't keeping my son from you. You don't show up. So I mean, you don't show up. You can get him. You can take him. I'm the same person. As soon as we broke up and you was rocking, I'm not one of them that's about to trip because you got a girlfriend and dude, I need a break from this baby.
Right.
Like we about to play them games. And what happened was, this man went down to juvenile and he filed for custody. And I was like, in that moment, I'm like, I was floored. I was behooved. What you mean? So before anything was established, we had to mediate. And the thing was, they mediate and they said, what you comfortable with? Now I'm mad because how dare you go down here in the first place for full, not for shit, for full custody of my baby.
Yeah.
So I'm mad. And I'm like, nah, this ain't rocking. Like, because when we look at the difference, you don't even have a stable place to live. Like, let's be for real about this. And, you know, at the time, you know, not knocking nobody's jobs and nobody's hustles, nothing like that. But you have ass working, and you work at the gas station when you do work. You know what I'm saying? Now, we talk, mind you, my baby is 21, so we talking about years ago.
Yeah.
So, but what it was in that moment, in that situation. So it was like, when it came down to and I told them then, because this is what people don't know and don't realize. And I was mad. I'm like, he don't even pay child support. Like, cause at that time, he want custody, but he don't even pay child support. And they like, well, child support don't have nothing to do with a father wanting to see their child or custody, but we're not going to just take there's no reason to take your baby and give your baby to somebody else. So we had to agree, and I told them what I was comfortable with, and we went back and forth with the mediator until we got an acceptable agreement for both of us. Now the problem with that comes when you wanted this and then you default on
and
the
you
agreement.
don't do what you're supposed to do.
You don't do what you're supposed to do.
And that's where a lot of it comes from. For me, I told him, because like you said, as soon as the mother has that baby, the mother has full rights. 100%. The father has no rights. And I wasn't never the child's mother to bail. You can't see your child, this, and that. But I will say this. When it came down to where it was some fuck shit that he did, I did have that moment. And I was like, no, you can't, because it was one of those, it wasn't even about us. It was about my child. And it's like, any parent sitting right here, someone does some fuck shit to your kid, you are on it. But it was like, beyond that, we did have set where, like, even though we didn't go down there, it was like, yeah, every other weekend, this, and that. But the point where it came, where I told him that he needed to go down there, was when I was getting ready to move to Florida. And he said, oh, you're not about to take my child to Florida. Well, sir, you have no rights. And he told me, he said, I pay child support. And I had to educate him and tell him, child support don't give you rights. I said, and I have constantly told you, you can go down there and ask for it. I was the only one. I don't know why you skipped me and did the other two. And so it's like, you could have went down there. I have no problems. I was even a child's mother when he brought her into child support, because I only got $35 a week. Ooh. I gladly told him, you want the card? Because that $35 is just, it's barely, the way that little girl eat, it was barely feeding her.
And see, that's the problem. Like you said, as far as literally rights, dads, we don't have rights. So if you have an active father in that child's life, and I think a father should have a choice to make, because at the end of the day, we have to, either one, we have to be in a committed, legal, married relationship with you guys, and or we have to go through visitation to have some kind of rights towards our child. Now, if you don't, guess what? We have no rights.
You have none.
None. So if my child needed a life-changing surgery and the decision is left up to the mother, I could be an asshole and be like, no, you figure it out because I have no rights. But at the end of the day, it shouldn't be like that. No. The mother should be able to come to me and we should be able to discuss it. Yeah. But also, I should have some kind of rights to say, well, my child. Now, what if the mother is incapacitated some kind of way? What if she, is got into a car accident and, now, and my child is laying up in the hospital bed, they laying up together, Now, I got to make a choice of what to do. But guess what? If I have no rights,
then they won't listen to you.
Then they don't listen. And then the other thing too is, it is avenues and there's outlets out there for fathers. But you also have a great deal, like we're talking about fathers that want to be present. Fathers that want to be active.
Because there's a great deal of them that don't.
When I got divorced, and this put my business all the way out in the street.
But that's what we're here for. This is the intimacy lounge. We tell the truth here.
Like I said, we had one of the things that I do think is very good when people are legally married and you're getting a divorce and you have children involved, they make you take parenting classes. Yeah. So you can try to have the best outcome of a bad situation for the children that's involved. But my ex-husband, he refused. My ex-husband signed his rights away to my kids. I didn't ask him to do that. I didn't want him to do that. I don't want to be with you no more. You don't want to be with me no more. But these are our children. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And so, I don't know if he thought assigning his rights was going to stop anything, but it was in that moment where people can say what they want about child support and having that, but you don't want to take care of. You don't want to be a part of my kids' lives in this season of your life. Unfortunately, you did something that cannot be reversed. It is very, they made it, let it be known. It is.
So did he go through that process?
He did. It wasn't a process. He literally signed. Yes. Okay. He said so. With my kids now, granted, our oldest child together, mine and his will be 19 in April, but we still have a minor child together, and so he has no parental rights to my children. I do not have to let him see. Well, now the one is grown, but I don't have to let him see the youngest one. I don't have to inform him about anything that's going on with her. I don't have to do nothing. He still has to pay child support, and he's still he's biologically her father. So it's like, I could pick up, like Kiana talking about moving to Florida, I could pick up and move to Kalamazoo tomorrow, and there's absolutely nothing that he can do about it. But it sucks because and like you said, something happened medically.
They can't even go because I signed it over.
Now I understand that because what I went through with my son and my marriage and divorce, it was let's put it like this. As little words as possible, it was messy. You know, it was extremely messy. To the point where it came down to she was trying to pin me. She was trying to pin my son or pin me against my son. She was trying to basically told the police and the judge that I tried to rape her. She, you know, it was horrible. It was horrible. Like I mean, you know, she thought I was downstairs at the house and she thought she heard a gunshot in the house. It's like 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. I get the police knocking on my door. I go inside. And all I see is about 6 to 8 dots on my chest. I'm like, what is this?
I remember that.
You know, they take me out the house, pat me down, and I'm asking like, what's going on? Like I'm half asleep, you know.
Yeah.
But the point that I'm making is the fact that when you get into the court situation, and they sit up here and say, well, okay, we're going to, because this is what happened to me. They granted me, like it was a favor, like they're doing me a favor. They granted me 6 hours a month with my child. 6 hours
6 hours a month.
Every other Saturday, 3 hours a day.
That is ridiculous.
So now,
that's sad.
So now, paying child support, then they wanted me to, then paying alimony on top of it. So now, granted, and this is what I said before, it comes down to, they don't give a damn about what we go through because we're told, shut up, make more money. Okay? Because at the end of the day, I was damn near homeless for a second there.
Yeah.
Because they, you know, the amount of money that they were taking out of my check for alimony, for child support, and you know, child support from other two girls, you know, I was like, where else can I pull money at? You know, so it constantly I had to constantly have a second job. So when you go through situations like that, unfortunately, you go through a bitter divorce or a bad divorce, and then one parent pins the child against another parent, or you know, in those situations, it puts a strain on the relationship. Now, granted, me and my son didn't have the best relationship growing up. As he was growing up, yes, I wasn't there all like that. I was there, but I wasn't there.
Right.
I was working a lot, but also at the time I didn't want to step up to be a father because under the circumstances of how he came along.
And we'll get to it.
Yeah. So it's just the whole point of once you let it go into the court's hands, it's out of your hands as a parent, and it sucks because now we have absolutely no rights. And even if, like you said, you pay child support, it still doesn't give you rights. And that's what sucks because as a father, if you're going to be an active father in a child's life, you need some kind of rights to say, hey, look, this, that, and the other. You know?
And I'll admit, going through with Skip and his child's mother, this was probably the first time I ever was able to see what it's like on the dad's side of the situation. Because it really is, the system is really geared towards the mother. And it sucks in that situation when the mother is not a good mother. It was one of those, the situation started where he wasn't on child support, but she would call and this and that, and she would be disrespectful and threaten him with it. So I told him, I was like, hey man, go put yourself on child support so that we can stop that. Then she didn't, we don't have to do that. And this is where I did learn, she turned down the child support. Yeah, they went through it. She told them she did not want it. So we moved forward with shared because it was one of those, 1 minute she let him get it, and the next minute she didn't, this and that. So we moved forward, and it was things like we noticed that the way he was living, like he would piss in the bed, he was scared of the dark, he would have marks on his face. It was things that he would tell us that was warranted that this little boy didn't need to be in his house. She had never taken him to the doctor. They had a home birth, which I always tell y'all. Always know. I always tell Skip I thought was stupid. They had a home birth. There was no medical people there, no nothing. The baby never had been to the doctor until I took him, and that was at 4 years old.
How is that possible?
Because she didn't agree or believe that about going to doctors and things like that. And it's people out there like that. She didn't believe in vaccines. In her mind, she felt like vaccines for black boys gave them autism because she had read it online. And if anybody knows me, I feel like anything you read online is somebody's opinion. Everything is an opinion. It's not facts. It's not nothing. And my thing was, she went through school. You got vaccinated, and you're fine. Your brothers went through school.
Exactly.
They got vaccinated, and you're fine. This ain't like it's a
in your head, like,
And it was like things like that. To me, the court should have took into consideration that hey, something's not right in this home.
certain things. I'll tap in and I'll say certain things with what you said. Mm-hmm. But as a person where my children I was vaccinated. My children were vaccinated to a certain extent. I do believe in home births, natural births. I believe in having a doula or a midwife.
But at least you had that.
Yeah. Well, see, I didn't, girl. I was at the hospital with drugs but at least, and all the stuff. But I understand where people come from with that. If you are doing other necessary things to, just check up on you and your children and other things like that. So I'll never be one to...
I mean, I'm never knocking the home birth. I knock the fact that it was just them two. It wasn't anyone medically there to be like, if something went wrong. All they did was read a book. And they had a nurse friend kind of guide them. But it was just them there. And I even asked them, I said, because y'all know I've been in the medical field almost 20 years. I asked them, I said, what would have happened if the baby was breached? Or if the umbilical cord was wrapped around his neck? Anything. And that's what was like, I didn't think that was the smartest thing. And then it's like, not taking him to the doctor. It was one point where we was out and he was coughing and I could hear it in his chest. And I said, I forgot what I asked him. And he was like, no, mommy just told me I had asthma. I was like, no, baby. I took him instantly because we were walking, he could barely breathe. And I took him to the hospital and he had a respiratory infection. Yeah. And then what made it crazy is when we took him to the hospital, he texted her and said, hey, we at the hospital. She ain't show up. She ain't called. She ain't called till the next day. Do you know if my child's father called me and tell me he could tell me my daughter got a hangnail and they at the hospital. What hospital you at? Yeah. But when we told the courts all of this, none of that mattered.
You know what's crazy? I got a personal experience. My youngest brother's girlfriend, she trifling. I don't always contribute, them saying, oh, I don't want to get my child vaccinated and all this, because I totally agree. We all got vaccinated and we just fine. Mm-hmm. The only thing I don't agree with is them COVID vaccines. They could take them and roll them up their behinds and kick them with steel feet.
Yeah. And I agree with that.
I believe that when people do that, it's in part to just being lazy. Because he might be listening right now and good.
Yeah.
Because she trifling. She trifling. Like she don't want to take her kids to school and stuff like that. And I don't know. I guess to a limited part, I understand the dynamics of home teaching and learning and stuff like that, but when you don't want to get up and do the simple things in life, then that's just pure laziness to me. Yeah. Because my brother's girl, like their kids aren't in school, and the poor, listen, don't get me started. This girl got 5 kids, 2 by my brother, and she don't have custody of 3 of them, but she got the youngest one that she had with whoever else there, and that girl is miserable. And I think that social skills and stuff and having kids in the right places, I think that is important. But when it comes down to this whole, vaccination thing, I'm like, like I said, outside of COVID, I'm okay with it. But if you got the mumps, rubella, chicken pox,
because those are the things that we grew
all
up
of that stuff.
And she was one of those, and I don't care if she see it or not, but it was one of those where she wasn't taking them anywhere. So he was socially awkward. Mm-hmm. He didn't know how to be around other kids. So I put him in daycare, and I started putting him in activities, and you could see the change in him. Right. But she didn't want that. And it was like telling the courts, it's like she had another child, another home birth that went left. Okay. And she was in the hospital for a month. So we had a son for a month, which is fine. That's my man. Yeah. She ain't called. She ain't checked on him. Jeez. No one from the family called or checked on him. And as we're telling the guardian lied on this and how she doesn't, do anything, he was I put him in T-ball. She came to 1.5 games.
1.5?
Yes. The one game she came to, she was at the park playing with her other kids. And the other game, it was by the time she got there, the game was almost over. And I'm like, this woman isn't active in anything. And we're telling the guardian lied on this, and her response is, well, she does have 3 kids. Or she does this. And it was like, I hear this guardian lied on, just take her side. Ooh. And it's like, you're supposed to be a person of the courts that are supposed to be biased and see everything. And mind you, she's married. So it's like she has help. Her sisters are around. And it was just like hearing her say this, it put me on the other side of the man. And it was just like, this is how the guys feel that want to be there. And all he wanted was just to be there in his son's life. And she made it difficult like every step of the way. Like we had to take him out of karate because she said, don't do activities. He can't do activities when you got him with me. And it wasn't like we was even asking him to do anything. We was going and picking him up, taking him all the way out to Macedonia to do karate, and then taking him back. But no, she stopped that. It was like every avenue, and as we're telling them this isn't fair. It's like they had a rebuttal for her. And that's where I feel like the courts for men suck. Men that want to be there.
Yes, the courts do suck for men that want to be there. And it's really, really unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. And then that comes to on and again, like the best word I can say is unfortunate because it's so many men and I don't like to just say men because there are absent mothers as well.
Yeah.
But it's so many men that are, not the greatest. That just kind of, they say like one person messing up for everybody. And so now we're at this stage where it's hard to course correct. It is hard. They say, it's power in numbers, but it's so hard to course correct at this point and to be able to get some justice for the fathers that want to be there, that want to be present and because of the history,
And to add to that, what I was saying about how, the courts granted me, only 6 hours, it was like, how do I spend time with this kid?
For an hour.
Right, and granted, he was about 14 at the time. He's 17, he'll be 18 this year. So it's like...
Now, with that, I'm sorry to cut you off. Did they ask him, did they bring him in on the discussion? And is that something that he, agreed to or said would be, that's what he wanted to do?
So at the time, it was like right after COVID, or it was like right before COVID or right after COVID hit, because that's when the divorce kind of like ended. Mm-hmm. So it was going like, skipping court dates sometimes just because of, everything going on. Mm-hmm. So personally, we weren't, as parents, we weren't even allowed in the actual courtroom. So it was actually our lawyers battling out. Mm-hmm. My lawyer was a guardian ad litem as well. So I thought she had, what was in the best interest of myself. Absolutely not. I told her my ex-wife had history of mental illness. She had a history of suicide. And when I told my lawyer this, in court, I told my lawyer this. Exactly. And she asked me, when did this happen? I said, back in the early 2000s. She said, oh, no, that's too long ago.
What do you mean that's too long ago?
What?
How is it too long ago? But she can sit up here and rat me out like I'm, the baddest person in the world, throw dirt on my name. But I'm sitting over here telling you, and you're not going to fight for me? I said, and then another thing came up, and this is all on pace to my point, which is then they asked me if she had any like drug addiction or alcohol abuse or anything like that. I said, yes, she just tested positive for ecstasy at her job. Mm-hmm. So that's another dagger
right there.
And my lawyer asked me, well, have you ever been fired from a job or anything like that? No, I drink, I do my thing. But at the end of the day, I've never been fired from a job. I've never had a DUI. I've never had anything like that happen to me. I'm a drink at home, and I'm
and the kid's not there. Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's another dagger thrown at her. Yes, my lawyer said, oh, no, we're not going to follow that. What do you mean you're not going to follow? I'm paying you this money to get this, to get this done, and you're going to sit up there and tell me that's, it's obsolete, basically? So it's like trying to climb uphill
and you get knocked down.
And you get knocked down when you have physical proof. All she had to do was I tried to call her job, and of course they're not going to give me any information. Mm-hmm. The lawyer, I'm paying you to do this work, and you chose not to. So that's just telling me your best interest is money, not the best interest of the child, not the best interest of me. And she's gonna try and say, well, child support is coming down if you get the child X amount of time overnight or the whole year. I get that, but how can I do that if I'm kicking out X amount of dollars in alimony and child support? I don't even have a steady place to live at really. So it's like they make it so hard for men and fathers to get some kind of valuable time with their child, but then as a mother, it's like, oh, it's easy like that. It's easier for a woman to go down to the county, say they need county assistance, as opposed to a man going down there and say they need county assistance. Yes, it's based on your income, yes. Most of the time, men make more money than women in most cases, yes.
Well, not in the new day and age.
Well, no, I'm saying, I said in most cases, but I'm talking about most cases like in the divorce situations and stuff like that, because that's kind of how they base who's going to pay the alimony.
Yeah.
So that's what I say in most cases. But at the end of the day, it's like we have to fight 3 times as hard just to get the basic rights.
And it sucks. And it's like, even in our situation, now that we have the paperwork drawn up, it's guidelines in it, and she ignores it. And then when we go to the attorney, it's, well, you got to pay another $200 to file a motion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because
everything
when
costs,
and it's everything costs, and it is all about money. And it's like, it's sad to say, but also within our communities, and we know what I'm saying when I say within our communities.
Yeah.
The struggle is really real in our communities. It sucks everywhere. Don't get me wrong, across the board, it doesn't matter. But yes, we have it the hardest.
Yeah.
We have it the hardest in terms of just justice for everything.
Again, and then it doesn't help that they don't tell fathers about the programs that are available.
Yeah, because there are programs.
Like, did you know that the PRC was originally set for fathers who pay child support, and it's still available to fathers who pay child support. So if you need a bill paid, if you need rent paid, if you need a car repair, that's what the prevention retention program is about.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So so with that being said, it's like, okay, so we have stuff like that to help us out, right?
Mm-hmm.
But on the back end of
they don't let you know, especially if you're
No, they don't.
right, of course not.
Yeah.
But there's things out there that's like that to help fathers, but at the end of the day, we shouldn't need that if we're trying to get equal
Right.
equal
You
rights
shouldn't,
for
but
child.
you know what it boils down to, right?
Mm-hmm.
The real spiel, what it boils down to is what that little slogan they say: strong family, strong community.
Mm-hmm.
There is so the reality is, if we can call, because think about the stress and the strife that's on the adults, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you're going through this party, through this situation, you're going through it. You're taking that home.
Yeah.
So if you got the kid, I don't care if you got the kid 1 or 2, 3 days or whatever. The kid is dealing with that. They are feeling the energy that you're dealing with. Then they at home, they feeling that. It's all type of you mad, or you going through what you going through, mama going through what she going through. And at the end of the day, we can't build that strong family because it's so much turmoil going on.
And when you have negative, cut you off. When you have both parents not on the same page when it comes to either discipline or when it comes to just buying certain things or whatever, when you don't have both parents on the same page, that also makes it creates tension between the two parents, but also with that particular child and the parent. Because at the end of the day, the child is going to suffer the most.
Yeah, because they're in the middle of it. They're seeing it.
Right, they see it, and depending on their age, they may not understand it, but they're seeing it, and then they're going to end up choosing sides sometimes just through those interactions. I'll give you one short, quick example. Like one of the few times I had my son for 3 hours, I took him bowling. And the time before that, I said, because he asked me, it was about like the All-Star game when the All-Star game was here. I asked him, did you want to go to the All-Star, to the festivities? He said, well, if we were going to the game, then yes, I will go with you. So you don't want to come with me to the festivities? No. Further lets me know, okay, what's going on. Fast forward to the bowling situation. I said, we bowled a couple of games, played a little video games, and I asked him, did you want to do anything else before I take you home? He was like, no, unless you're paying for it. Little does he know, I saw a $20 bill in his wallet. So at this time, he's about 14, 15 years old. So he's old enough to see
and very aware of what was going on in that whole situation.
So after that time, I told him, anytime you come with me, and I may be wrong with this, but I don't, at this point in time, financially, I didn't care because I didn't have it financially. So I told him, anytime you come with me next time, you make sure to ask your mother for money. Why did I do that? Because I was paying child support and I was paying alimony. So I'm paying over $1,000 a month just from them two alone, including my other child support case. So you ask your mother for money. I'm glad to come and get you and we can spend time together. And I don't mind feeding you when you're in my presence. But you sit up here and want me to pay for it out of your own mouth. You told me unless you're paying for it.
And you know that came from her.
It came from her. But then it was probably my fault that I took that out on him. But at the end of the day, it is what it is too. Because I'm not going to be played like a fool either.
No, and I completely understand. Because I did that with my child's father. It came down to a point where when he got snappy, it was one of those, well, you know what? I'm going to bring her over there and you make sure she got clothes. You make sure she got what is needed. Because it's like, when I was trying to be nice about it, I would send her over there with clothes. I would never see him again. And then when I did see him, it was either one on somebody else or by the time we came back, she couldn't fit it anymore. Because, of course, she wasn't going over there all the time. Mm-hmm. And it was like, when I would ask him to do certain things, it always was some backlash. So it got to a point where when she went over his house, she went exactly with what she had on. And it was like, you need something as daddy. Because in hindsight, it might not have been right at that time, but it was just one of those, like, trying to make him get a feel for what we do 365 days of the year.
And see, so I get it. I get what you both are saying. Mm-hmm. I can only speak for me. And me personally, I have 3 children by 2 different men. Right? One I was married to, one was my first boyfriend. Mm-hmm. Okay? But what I will say is, even with my son's father, when we got our visitation stuff, and that was his doing. I didn't do that. He did that. Mm-hmm. I never was a stickler to that. I always felt like, if you want your kids, you can get your kid. If you want to see your kids, you can see your kid. I'm going to make sure that your kid got whatever the kid need to be with you. Now, when they with you, whatever y'all do is on you. Yeah. I do not care if you pay no child support, because I'm with the kid all the time. We can't always go to the restaurants. We can't. It's not always an event because I'm your parent. So every time that you're with me, it's not an event because you're with me. Because I'm your mama. Right. It's a part of doing it. Right. So even with my ex-husband, and they were like, you don't ever have to let him see the kids and blah, 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 blah. I still did. He called and you want your kids, you can get your kids. But it was once they got to a certain extent, and they got to a certain, you can choose what you want to do. Yes. And if you want to go. Yes. And at the end of the day, it was still the same. They need some clothes. Okay, get some clothes. Now, I will say that we done had a tiff here or there because the kids, excuse me, but you a certain age, I'm not about to go pack your bag. Mm-hmm. I'm not about to look through your bag and make sure you got A, B, C, D. And if you don't like the type of clothes that I buy them, by all means, go buy some clothes. Yeah. But I'm always make sure they got something with them. They got something with them. And whatever y'all do while they with you is on you. That's on you.
Yeah. And I started off and I was like that because it was times, now I don't know if you remember, but it was times where when I would bring her down there, he'd had the kids and he had no food. All right, let me go to the grocery store. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I went to McDonald's and spent $30 to make sure everyone got it. But it was one of those, he started getting comfortable with it. Mm-hmm. And started getting, and it was one of those like, now, hey man, you work too. Mm-hmm. And why you ain't no food here? You gotta eat. Your kids coming down here. It's not like it was a surprise with a drop off. So it was one of those like, don't take advantage of the situation. And that goes to like the conversation we had off air where it was one of those like where you asked that question and Janez responded because he knew that our 2 kids was gonna be good. And it was like one of those like, don't take advantage because you have the child's mother. Because I was like her, hey, you want her, you can get them. But I love my daughter. So it wasn't like, if you ain't calling, I'm kicking it with my daughter. I'm not just dropping her down there because I want to go. Me and my daughter kicks it. So it was like, I didn't bring her down there much because it's like, if you're not calling for her, I'm keeping my daughter.
So a side note with that was like, okay, they say, as a parent, you should reach out to your child or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. So now, for me personally, my dad wasn't the best example of a dad, what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But he was there. He didn't live in the same household, but he was there. I could, call him, go over there, whatever. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, but that being said, I didn't have that actual real father figure to show me the way on how to do so. But then, sometimes you, as a man, and then as a father, you gotta sometimes wake up and realize, hey, wait a minute, this may not seem right, or this doesn't look right, or this doesn't feel right. So you make certain adjustments. You should make certain adjustments. Mm-hmm. But then, if you don't have that correct leadership growing up, you may not know how to make it. So that's what I was faced with my son. I didn't know how to be a dad, and then plus mix it in together with I didn't want to be a dad. But then you fast forward to now, it's like I'm still trying to navigate that path.
Yeah. And with listening to you, and just thinking. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I could say that is not talked about enough are men's feelings. Yeah. Men's feelings, because, coming up, I would be mad at my dad all the time. Like, because I spent a lot of my life, I want to be with my dad. I want to be with my dad's family. I want to reach out. As I got older, I was like, I don't want to reach out. I don't want to keep reaching out. And now listening to my kids, and I'll be like, hey, you talk to your dad? What's up with your dad? Now, my ex-husband, they talk to him all the time. They always be like, oh, yeah, I talk to my dad. Or if it's been some time, hey, you ain't talked to your dad? He ain't called me. And then listening to you saying, and it's like, you know, and I've heard, and I've asked her, hey, what's up? Why you ain't talk to Tez? Or, you know, what's going on? Why you ain't talk to woo? And hey, they ain't called me. Well, what you mean they ain't called you? And so, but hearing you say that, and it's like, you know, and my dad would say, the phone works both ways. You haven't called me. And I think that as kids, and as parents, like I try, now I do try to be like, hey, you called your dad, you reached out, what's going on, how you doing, whatever. But I think that as kids, we're their safety. You know what I'm saying? And so, and no matter how old they get, they young and they young minded. So now, as a 40-year-old woman, I can understand. Hey, I ain't talked to my daddy. Let me call my dad. Let me see what's up with my daddy. Now I gotta wait for my daddy to call me. You know what I'm saying? So I think that on both sides with that, with the communication and the reaching out and the expectations, I think that for us as adults, we need to give a little grace to the children, but also still, meanwhile, as the other parent, that's not, you know what I'm saying?
Not in the picture.
You should be, you know, hey, even if it's a shoot a text, what's up? I was just thinking about you, and not and just realize, you know, keep in perspective that they still young.
Yeah,
you know?
and they're still learning, because it's like, I'm like you, I do that with Kiera as well. I constantly, hey, when the last time you talked to your dad? Did you text your dad? Things like that. Now, I do think, though, I have to always pay her feelings into consideration, because she'll say, I text him, he won't text back.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where it gets to the point where I understand why she don't want to reach out. Mm-hmm. Because if you don't respond,
and I'm not about to keep setting myself up to hurt, and I'm not going to set my kid up to hurt. And I'm by no means is mean that we badger the children and be like, hey, woo. No, it's just on the, whenever the thought pop in my brain, and be like, hey, do it. You reach out, what's up?
Your situation, though, is a little different, because it's like, he doesn't have that mom saying, hey, did you call your dad? Right. Because she's still mad about the divorce.
She may have said that. I don't know, because I'm not going to speculate one way or another, but I can assume.
You know, we know her well enough to know. Right. Because his situation was like yours. It was a high school sweetheart. Mm-hmm. So it's like...
Yeah, we didn't date until 2002, 2003, something like that, whatever it was. But at the end of the day, you know, it was like a on-off in relationship. Mm-hmm. And, you know, we said we had a kid, and years later said, oh, well, let's try to marriage. I mean, because we were together, it was like, it was simple. Mm-hmm. It was simple. So it's like, you know, when you mix simplicity into it and then you mix the feelings into it, it's like, wait a minute, this could work. But not necessarily that doesn't mean it's going to work in the marriage. Mm-hmm. And that's what we found out the hard way. And, you know, I'm not putting blame on her solely, because I know I made my mistakes as well. But at the end of the day, you know, when she started to go south, you know, it was a whole lot of dirt kicking, you know, name, and me trying to be settled about it, and I saw how she was playing the game. I'm like, okay, you want to play like this? Okay, so let's play like this. But then it sucked because my lawyer was just a piece of crap, and you know, anyway. But I'm gonna go back to the dad thing for a second, which was like, my dad was there, but he wasn't there, and nothing against my mom. I always wanted to be with my dad.
Yeah, because you're a boy, right? And that's understandable. And you want to have that dad figure.
Right. You want that, and you also want what you don't have.
Right. Yes. My dad never reached out to me and say, "Hey, how you doing?" or whatever. He probably came to maybe one football game of mine out of 6 years. But at the end of the day, I still wanted to be with my dad. Yeah. So no matter how our lack of conversation was when we were together, to me that didn't matter. To me, I was in the presence of my dad. To me, that's what all mattered. Mm-hmm. So then when I'm going through the situation with my son, and it was like, basically, he's like, screw you, basically, in so many words. I'm like, well, damn, you know, how come he doesn't want to be with his dad? But then, stop and think.
You have to think about the situation and everything.
And then also, so I can speak. I was the villain in my divorce. I was the villain in the ending of my marriage. That played such a huge role on my middle child, on my son. We mind you, been divorced since 2014, and my son and I are still working on that. Like he's about to be 19, and we still working on it because all of my kids heard the rigmarole and the trash in regards to me, because I was the villain. Mm-hmm. They all heard it, but he's the one that like honed in on that. The other two men felt how they felt, but they didn't beat me up. He beat me up. Like he was. And he wanted to be with his daddy. All the time. I mean, we got to a point that we going back and forth. So stuff like I'm telling him, like, please stop talking about me to my children. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's making it real bad. But the kids will always they want to be with their dad.
Yeah.
And I feel like, not to say that anything was wrong with them wanting to be with their dad, but I feel like it was because in the ending of our relationship, I was the bad guy. And so they gravitated to whom they thought was the savior, not knowing the actual ins and outs.
Because they're on the outside looking in.
And their kids, so mentally, their mentality yet isn't quite developed to where they can actually say, okay, who's right, who's wrong. They just need to who they feel kind of comfortable with at that time. And sometimes it works towards it's a long time where they're still in that comfort zone over here, as opposed to a short period of time. And in my situation with my son, it's a long time effect because I haven't seen or talked to my son in 4 years. You know, does it affect me anymore? No, not really. To be honest with people, no, it doesn't, because I know what the situation is and
why it's like that.
And why it's like that. But then on the flip side, I get the question was, don't you think you should reach out to him? I said no, and the reason why, 2 reasons why. One, he's got my number as well. Yes, he's a child. He's 17. But the second thing is, he will not listen to what I have to say until he understands and listens to what I have to say. What happened back then I don't have anything to say to him because he's not going to get past that hump yet.
And that's what I think.
He's living in his mama's.
He's living,
right.
Yes.
Right.
And
So for
he can't hear the other side.
Right. So I got a stepdaughter.
So can I just ask you, when is the last time that you tried to speak to him?
September of 2020. I sent him a text because I saw a picture of him. He's out fishing. I sent him a text saying, hey, did you enjoy fishing? And he said, yeah. That was it. But as far as, and that was the last conversation, the last time I actually physically saw him and had him in my possession, which was a whole other story, was January of 2020, right before COVID hit. That's the last time I seen him.
So I'm just gonna, like, I don't know you. I've never met you before. You know what I'm saying? You know my baby. But I don't know, you know what I'm saying? But what I'm gonna tell you is this, right? So you're grown. You're a grown man, right? And yes, he's a child, but he's a young man, you know? And we've all just discussed how, your role model, your parental role model, talked about mine, we talked about children, everything like that. And I'm going to say that who knows what may have happened from the time he was 14 to the time that he's 17.
Absolutely.
And have not had you, and the growth in the mental development. I will say that, everybody know.
Oh, no, not taking that.
That baby didn't, he didn't ask to be here. And at the end of the day, you said that they granted you, 3 or 6 hours a month, right?
That's
so
crazy.
that is behooves me. I just can't either.
That is crazy.
But at the end of the day, as we take away where he may, at that time, he may or may not have understood quite the and if the mom was adhering to, you can only have him this amount of time. You know what I'm saying? So he could have also felt like you left him and you abandoned him. And we're talking about a young teenager, so I just feel like there's no time like the present. My uncle passed away last year. My uncle was my road dog, right? Okay. He was supposed to move in with me 2 weeks before he passed away. He passed away
so sorry.
2 weeks later. And he had 2 sons. And his one son, I reached out to him. Like, I just let him know. Like, and my uncle wasn't a very active father. And then this boy, whatever the case might have been, I don't know. Them was my little cousins. I ended up living, I actually just moved. I'm from down the way. Just moved. Okay. But his other son lived 2 minutes away from my house. I notified them both. I let them know, both of them know. And the one, he ain't say nothing. The oldest son, he ain't say nothing. He didn't respond. He didn't say anything. And it was like, that's whatever he deal with and however he deal with it. But I say that to say tomorrow is not promised.
Right. It's not.
And we can't, we have to learn from the past and learn from the things that we've been through. But I would say it'd be such a shame and such a travesty to not attempt or to not see. And it doesn't have to be the discussion, though. We can go get breakfast. We ain't got to talk about the relationship, the marriage that went south, or we ain't got to do none of that. You know what I'm saying?
See, in the situation I have, that has to be discussed. And the reason why it has to be discussed is because if not, there's always going to be some conflict. There's always going to be some friction here.
Maybe, but not off the rip.
Not yet. Because he still don't want to speak to me. I will say this, that, you don't have to be quite as consistent, but I agree with her. You should be. But this piece is important. He has a cell phone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Text him.
Yeah. If
hey son, I love you. I never wanted to be away from you. If ever you're open to talk, I'm here. I miss you, and let it go.
And I want to say this before you say it. You touched on how you said your dad, he was there, but he wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to remember, and I actually just had this conversation with Skip.
Mm-hmm.
We have to break that generational curse.
Right? Absolutely.
Because that is the reason why you don't yourself know how to be a father.
Right.
Because he wasn't because he wasn't there.
Yes.
But because you're not there now, all you're doing is continuing that same thing. Yes, and you know me, I know the personal situation. I know offhand everything that transpired because I was there every bit of the way. Mm-hmm. But I do think, and I've told you this before, this is the first time we had this conversation. I do think because you're still mad about the divorce. And I get it.
I mean,
and I get it. It was messy.
What happened during the divorce, that's how it all came about, unraveled. Mm-hmm. That's when you came on there telling me that you're telling the police that I tried to rape you. So
you have to step. But you have to step out of that.
But what it did was it put a wedge between
you and him,
right? Because he took her side. He's overhearing that. So what I'm saying is, moving forward, I cannot reach out to him if he still has that in his mind. That I try to know. I do. The reason why I do know is because the last message that before the fishing trip I told you about, one of the last messages was between me and him transpired. I asked him, when you want to see me, because I can take you to the Monsters game or whatever, blah, blah, just spend a little bit of time. And he said, I don't know. I said, well, why don't you know? He said his last words to me was, because I really don't want to see you again. So at that moment, it hit me, but I learned to, okay, fine. But I'm the type of person, I'm not going to force myself into somebody's life, no matter if they're my child or not. I'm not going to force myself into your life if you do not want me there. Why? Because why should I waste my time? Why should I waste my energy, my money on you that don't want me there in the first place? It doesn't matter. He didn't ask to be here. But at the same time, he's old enough now to understand.
No, he doesn't. Well, you haven't been there. Unfortunately, you haven't been there. Not by you not wanting to be, but unfortunately, you haven't been there. So it's parts of that he doesn't know. His heart and mind don't have an understanding on. And that's what you have to fight for. Yeah, and at this point, have to. He's 17. You have to. He's a black man 18. Out here. Yeah. And he's open to, excuse my French, I'm so sorry, bullshit in this world because we, and especially our men, get handed so much of it. So it's important that you stand in you no matter how. I know, trust me. My husband, and I've helped my husband, I helped my brother-in-law, rest in heaven, Phil. I've helped men establish fraternity with their kids. A couple, I got custody. All I did was take them to the library. But look, you have to.
So I guess to kind of, as a safety net in the sort of sense, because she's remarried, so they have that. So my eyes are looking at it as, okay, he's got somebody there in the house.
But you don't know that. You might not even like that man.
Well, hold on, hear me out. Okay, and the reason why that's it, the whole history behind it is because we all went to high school together. Okay?
Wow.
So but the thing was, she would always talk shit to him, or she would talk shit about him to me, dogging him out, and ended up marrying him. But so at the end of the day, he's kind of been there since day one. Then
he has, but again, that's not his son.
It's not his son, but he's in the household. So here it comes down to the rights thing. So if you are living with my son, you're married to my ex-wife. So let me take a step back because there's no need for me to be there if he already has that. Hold on. If he because he has a daughter as well. So So me not having a relationship with my son at that time period, you took my place. You took my place for two reasons. Why? Because I stepped back and I chose not to be there. But also she chose to let you in, and he's accepting you as that role, as that father figure. And I'm okay with that because of the simple fact. To be honest with you, going way back, I didn't want a son. I didn't want a kid actually. So at the time, me and her, we were going to try and put him up for adoption and all that stuff. So it was like it was a hard.
It was a lot to it. It was a lot to it.
And how she got knocked up, it was
she finagled some things in line. It was a lot to it.
So then people ask me, well, why did you marry her? I mean, time goes by, situations happen. It is what it is.
We thought people changed.
Right? But when it comes down to being there for him in his life because I'm the biological father. At the end of the day, I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to invest my time and energy into somebody who doesn't want me around. Now, if you come to me and say, hey, look, what happened? Or you come to me and say, let's get together, let's talk. Okay, fine. I'm all for it. But I will not. But I will
got to give him
not.
that avenue.
But you got to think about it. He's in his thought process. He thinks you don't want him there.
Right.
Yeah.
And especially now that he's about to be 18, where he can step away from what his mom was putting in his head. But until you reach out, you will never be able to get your own avenue.
Yeah.
And again, your own way.
What I just told you.
To stand up and speak. Because it's like, again, I know better than anybody. But I also know that your son loved the fuck out of you when y'all was together.
I'll tell you from an outsider. You know what I'm saying? Outsider looking in. It really, what I hear, and I could be totally off base, but what I hear is for you, it's a pride issue.
Mm-hmm.
And
because of how it
ended. And a hurt and a pride issue. And what I'll tell you is, man, I had a tumultuous relationship with my father. And it wasn't always like that. Mm-hmm. My daddy was my Superman. I love the ground my daddy walked on. Mm-hmm. But I was hurt because my daddy was married and he had other children. And I was just, a singular. Mm-hmm. I didn't share the parent that my siblings shared. And my siblings got to have him in the house and stuff. And I didn't. And so I will never forget this. And everything happens for a reason. Mm-hmm. And the fact that some things that you just said just triggered for me that I'm glad that my daddy didn't, because I gave my daddy reason to leave me in the wind, baby. I did. I was 13, but I'm talking about a 13-year-old mind, right? Yeah. A 13-year-old mind. I was so mad and so heartbroken at my daddy. I done said, and that wasn't the only time. I done said some horrible things. And I wrote a letter and mailed it. Mailed to this man.
You just showed your age now.
Oh my God. How I didn't want to deal with him. And I didn't want nothing to do with him and all this, that, and the 12. But that was my child. I was a child. That was a child brain. And if my daddy could have rocked with it, and I'll tell you, my dad did give me time. He'd give me time where he wasn't fooling with me. And he'd be like, you said you ain't want to deal with me. You said you ain't want nothing to do with me. Then it'll always come. And he never let it stay like that. Mm-hmm. He never let it stay like
because
that.
Because it's a child's mind to think of it. Because I was in that same situation where my dad was not there. He would come around when I got in trouble when my mama would call, but then that was it. He would pick and choose.
That still made him look bad because it was almost like he was. Yeah.
But what sucked for me was my perception of my dad was because of my mom. Yeah. Because of what they went through. So once I became an adult and I kind of heard his side of the story, it was like, well, damn, why did she took what went down and made me feel some kind of way about it? And that's what is happening in this situation. He feels some kind of way about you just because he's only hearing that side of the story. Yeah. Because I was like you. I wanted my daddy to be there.
That's I will not be able to reach out to him until he comes to me because when I say
he's not. That's not his place. That's your place.
It may not be his place. Yeah. But I guess my point is, if you're not going to come to me with a situation that you have a problem with, then okay, I'm just going to leave it alone. Let it go by.
Boo, you want some grown man stuff with your son. He not a grown man.
Right, but at the end of the day, at some point, he's got to break it down on his own. Maybe when he, like you said, hold on. Like you said, when you got older and started talking to your dad, you realized a lot of stuff that your mom was on.
Yeah, but I still have resentment for my dad.
Oh, yeah.
Hard. Yeah. Because I looked at my best friend, Brianna, who dad was there. Mm-hmm. And all of this stuff. And I had resentment because I used to ask them, why didn't you call? Why weren't you there? Why weren't you at school events and things like that? But because he chose, of whatever was going on between him and my mother, he chose to not do all of that. So, and that's what we kind of trying to say. I understand exactly everything, but I do think, especially as he's approaching adulthood, where men need that man to help them, guide them. Even if I'm not telling you to go call him, nothing, but sending him a text just lets him know, even if you just say hi, it lets him know that, oh shit, this man thought about me. because that's all they want. Because right now, all he's got in his head is what she's saying.
Yeah.
And you have every right to stand and defend it. He's not going to reach out to you.
How can I defend it when he's not
you have to open
that door.
But I opened up the door before.
But remember, you did it 4 years ago. That was a 14-year-old.
In my mind, that stuck with me. It's like, okay,
it hurt you.
It hurt me at that moment, but now you fast forward time. It's like,
so it hurt you, and you just turned off your feelings.
Yes.
It hurt him because it's generational.
It's generational.
But you gotta step outside of that.
Also, with my dad was, like I said, he was there. Like I could call him up, then whatever.
Yeah, but he wasn't there.
He was in the household.
Yeah.
Yes. But anytime I wanted to go over there or pick me up, or football season, we spent a lot of Sundays together for that. So at that time, it was for me. That's all I wanted was just that presence.
Yes.
But see now, and with my son, it's a difference because, like I said, the last words he said to me was, "I don't want to see you again." Okay, fine. I'm gonna let that be because
it was fuck feelings from his mom.
But it was from his mom.
Regardless from his mom. And that's
that's all it was.
Regardless what it was, at the end of the day, there's no point of me reaching out to him when I hear that last.
So you gotta stop and take yourself out of it.
Let me give you this.
Out of it, but at the end of the day, just imagine if Kiara said the same thing to you.
So let me tell you. So I told you I was the villain in my divorce, right? Mm-hmm. I was the villain in my divorce. I was the villain in my kids' lives. And I never was raised in the house with my dad. My dad, but my daddy, he got me every weekend, every summer. Like, I'm there. I'm a part of everything. It was me. Like, I used to get mad when I'm looking at my mama, and I'm going to tell you this. My mama was great. She never talked no bad about my dad. I never heard my mama say nothing bad because my mama said, you will see who your daddy is. She said, time will tell. But my mother never talked about my father. And I can't recall for real my father and them talking about my mama. It just, that wasn't how I was brought up. So with me and my kids, I didn't talk bad about their daddy. I ain't talk bad about him, but my ex-husband drugged me. All for a while, he drugged me. And I told my son, he got mad. He got real mad one day. And he was yelling. And he was like, because I told him, I said, people grow up in one-parent households all the time. And they still be good. And he was like, you didn't care about us being broken because you was broken. And just because you went through stuff and you came from a broken home don't mean that you had to put that on us.
Yeah.
And so it was that when he would, and it hurt. It's because it's fresh. Now my son would tell me how he didn't want to be around me, how he didn't like me. I got in trouble. I went to jail. My son called and keep talking about I'm calling the police on you so they can take you back. Like what? Like yeah. And it was one of them like, bro, you gotta go stay with your dad. Like you gotta go. But then he would go and be with his dad, and then it's like you ready to come home, or I'm ready for you to come home. And it was he done my son and let me. We done both went back and forth and toe to toe. But that's my kid. Right? However you feeling, like with my daddy, I'm his kid. So you ain't just turning it off and be like, oh well, because you told me you don't want to talk to me.
Yeah,
nigga, sir, I don't care.
You have to remember because Kiara has gotten mad at me. Oh, I hate you. I want to go stay with my daddy, and all of that. We've been down that road before, and when my child's father, when I was with Jamal. And remember when he texted and was like, oh, man, I'm glad he there because it's something. And remember our conversation because I told him when he said that. He was like, I'm glad another man there to help take care of my child. I said, ain't no way in life. Ain't no way in life. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and women don't feel that way.
I'm never.
We have an issue. What?
You have to also. It's not a difference because I'm gonna hit you with something.
Yes.
Remember how you used to feel about your brother and your sister?
Yeah.
How they acted different towards you?
Well, my sister mainly.
Mainly your sister because you was an outside kid. That's exactly how he gonna feel, and you don't want him to feel that way.
So, in that case, give you a little bit of background on that. So, my father was married already. He had 2 kids already, and then I kind of came along. I'm the only child from my mom, but I'm the youngest from my dad. So, my sister, when they found out about me, my brother was more like, "Hey, where the other mama at? Bring him on in. Come on in." And then my sister was the one that kind of shunned me, kind of like outcasted me, but not because of me. She outcasted me because of the situation. So now, even to this day, me and my sisters don't have the best relationship. I haven't talked to her in a while now, just because of some other little BS. But anyway, so when we're talking about trying to go down that avenue and trying to basically send out a text to him and be like, okay, just hi, or how you doing, or whatever. It's hard to do so. Again, I'm gonna reflect back on, it was a few years ago. I get that. But until you show me something, to me, nothing else matters, because at the end of the day, you're old enough to realize, hey, this is what happened. Even before, even your mom still might be putting stuff in your head or whatever it may be, you still could reach out to me as well.
But he can't.
He can.
He can't. You want to know why he can't? Because she put all that stuff in his head.
But then I can't either, because she.
But this is what I'm gonna tell you.
I can't either. So there's two ways to that. So he can't reach out to me because she put that stuff in his head. So I can't reach out to him until he learns to listen to me. You got to.
But
you got to open the avenue. It's not going to come from nowhere on your end.
You got to
do something. You have to do something.
You have to step out of that mind frame.
Yes, because you still hurting, baby.
Okay,
You still hurting.
And you're allowed. I don't want to take away from your feelings. You are absolutely allowed to be hurt.
Yes.
But he's not that kid anymore.
He is.
He's not, because you want to know why he's not? Because from 14 to now, he has changed.
Yes.
Whatever he's changed,
Yes.
not just he has. He's changed not just from the situation, but from also the move, watching his mother go to somebody else. All of that is effect, and then him feeling like you don't want him.
But you don't know how he feels about that other man. He might not even
he might not like
what that
he could be going.
You don't
he
know.
Could be over there
He might need you more than ever
Then
because
he
of
should reach
that.
out to me.
But
Then.
it's
not. But you haven't opened the avenue.
Yeah,
you
gotta
are
open
the father.
But
You trying to do grown stuff with a child.
Yeah, you
But
can't.
you want a grown
You
man's
can't
mentality
do
with a
that.
child. You gotta treat him
try
accordingly.
again. Now, if you send him a text now, and he still say "fuck you,"
well
then that's it. You throw your hands up because it's different now. He is a grown adult. Well, about to be a grown adult. Mm-hmm. So he has more of a mindset. So if you reach out now and he say "fuck you," all right, fuck him. But at that but from here to now, he deserves for you to just try.
But I think what just my takeaway from what you are feeling, and this is just because, like I said earlier, we don't pay attention to men's feelings as much as we should.
And that's why I said I don't want to take away from
that. But no, I feel like you come from a lot of broken relationships.
Yes.
And I feel like the reason you don't reach out is because you don't want your feelings hurt again.
No,
if he does not respond in the manner that you want him to respond.
It's not about my feelings being hurt anymore because I'm so numb to it.
But
right
now. And then that's the other thing. Is like you say, we put things in the atmosphere, and you say how like you're done with it and you don't care. And it is what it is. Like, but it's not, because that baby came from you.
Yes. And we hear your hurt.
But at the end of the day,
it's loud. It's loud.
I know it's loud, but at the end of the day, I know for a fact I don't want anything to do with him. That's the point that I'm trying to make.
That's sad. That makes me sad.
Call it how you want. And again, you just said there's not enough men speaking their true feelings. Mm-hmm. So if I'm standing up and speaking my true feelings about a situation that you may not agree about, but that's just me being real with it. But that's me speaking my feelings. But that's what a lot of people don't want to hear is raw, true feelings.
Okay,
no matter how negative it may be, that's my true feelings.
That's your truth. But how can I ask you, like, honestly, right, real, the whole part? If your son hurt, because hearing you say those things with my ears, and I don't know you from a can of paint, breaks my heart.
Yeah.
How would you feel if your son listened to this or he sees this and he hear them words coming out your mouth? Like, do you feel like you would have no feelings of that? Or you speaking that you don't want a relationship, you never wanted a son, you done with it, you don't want nothing to do with it? Like, how do you think, if he was watching this right now, if he was on this live right now, or when this get ran back, and he hear you, or he can see you, and somehow it got back to you that he knew this information, be it he let you know, his mama, grandma, whomever let you know, you telling me you would not feel no type of way that baby know what you said and how you feel?
No. And I can honestly be straight with that. No.
Wow.
And the reason why I say that is simply because if you, just like you said, you, as a parent, we're supposed to reach out to our kids, but then as we get older as kids, and our parents get older, it's like we're still reaching out to them, but they're also calling us as well.
Yeah.
But on the flip side of it is, at the end of the day, if he can't reach out to me because of what his mother put in his head, but he's starting to get older and he's supposed to be realizing this stuff.
He can't realize it.
Hold on. But he could realize it.
No, he couldn't.
Because he doesn't
You're
know
not
your
there.
story.
You're not there.
Yeah, exactly.
He
He
needs
doesn't
to
know
hear
my
your
but
story.
until he hears my story, I cannot reach out to him because he's not.
But then it's like, listen, but like with this right here today, right now,
this could be your chance.
This could be your chance. But then it's like you solidifying whatever he might think.
Yeah.
With this conversation, you solidifying. You putting in stone.
But
you okay with
But I'm
that?
okay with it because these are my feelings.
Can we address this elephant in the room? Okay, because this can't go without being explained. Could you please explain the origin of how this son even came about?
How my son came about?
Yes. What happened? What did this woman do?
Okay, so we weren't gonna really touch on it, but since you asked the question,
yes, it has to come out now.
So, and I'm okay with it.
I'm a journalist. I'm sorry.
I'm trying to protect the whole.
No, it has to come out now.
Go ahead. Because at the end of the day, okay, so this is what happened. Me and his mother, we were together. We were dating, whatever. She ended up moving in with me in my apartment. And then one day she came to me, and this was probably about maybe a year into staying together. She told me that she was pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
I said, okay, very much possible, whatever.
No, you skipped what actually happened. The birth control.
Well, that's what we said. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, she said she was pregnant. I was like, okay, but she was on birth control the last time I heard. Last time she told me. So, and I'm literally the one taking her to the store, taking her to the doctor to get the birth control, right? So, me being me, I'm kind of starting to be oblivious to it because I've seen she has a pattern that she goes every 30 days, whatever it may be, getting her birth control. Okay. Mm-hmm. So, I'm working 2 jobs, 1 to 2 jobs at a time. And she finally hits me up and was like, I'm out of birth control. So I'm thinking like, okay, me. Instead of asking, well, how long have you been out of birth control? I said, okay, well, let's get to the store right now. Well, coming to find out, she had been out of birth control for 3 months. And then she got pregnant in that between time.
Okay.
So
it wasn't like everyone knew. He had always made it vocal. He didn't want kids.
Yeah, I made it very vocal that.
So
but you weren't doing it like you didn't want kids, right?
Right, but she was on birth control as well.
Yeah, he was
understandable.
He was faithfully and again, I will vouch for all of it because I was there. He faithfully in his phone. He knew when she would track her period, when she needed it, everything. He kept because he didn't want any kids. Well, this is after. He didn't have his girls after.
Oh, okay.
This was at the time they were dating. He had made it abundantly known, like to the point, and I'm going to cliff note your story just because we come into the end, to the point to where even when she was pregnant, he gave her money to get an abortion. And she chose to take it and do something else and lied to him about it. The whole situation was a toxic situation. The whole situation.
So that's why you asked me, the animosity I have. So the animosity is not necessarily towards my son. It's more towards her on how she slid that in there. But then unfortunately, my negativity rubbed off on him, and that's, I guess, he's taking the brunt of it, which I agree. He should not have to. I'm wrong for that. I admit my faults when I know I'm wrong, or somebody telling me, hey, look, this doesn't kind of make sense, or you are kind of wrong about this. But as well, I have to let my feelings be known as
So how do we break this generational cycle?
That's what
if you know what I'm saying, because
yes.
we touched on like your father, and then you, and then your son. What happens when he becomes a father?
And that's something that I'm trying to cope with and deal with, because that's part of what I'm trying to get started as well. Trying to find a way to do so, but also I know it starts. It takes both parties to start it, and so that's why we guys are saying, "Oh, you should reach out to him." But it takes both to tangle with it. Even though he's a kid, even though he's still a minor, he still is a person who knows who his father is. Now, on the flip side of it is, okay, he has another guy in his life. Okay, fine.
You
don't know their relationship.
And that's true. I don't know their relationship. But at the end of the day, he is there. He is a parent. And again, it's not just comes down.
You don't know if he's a good one.
Yeah. He's a what?
You don't know if he's a good one.
I honestly
don't know.
Your son,
honestly,
your ex can have a whole knucklehead on her hand.
Anything.
Making it worse.
I think, and this is gonna sound crazy, and I know y'all gonna be like, "What?" But honestly, I think he shouldn't reach out to him because he needs to heal himself first before he reaches. And I've told you that before. That you have things that you need to heal from.
So when we did go to counseling, because
what about you?
I didn't go individually, but when we were in counseling, because we were still technically legally married at the time, And when we did go to counseling, it was more for like Sean or whatever to figure out, try to find out what's going on with him. So I didn't know that they were going to counseling until the second appointment. And I saw him look at the fridge and it said this appointment or whatever. Didn't have the first one, it only had the second one. So I went. And because I'd asked her, like, why did you tell me about it? So when I went to the counseling session and asked the counselor, well, she asked me a couple questions or whatever, and I said, why do you think I wasn't here the first time? And she said that, my ex-wife said that he works a lot. I said, that's BS, because she didn't even tell me about the counseling. Mm-hmm. So it's like, when you have all of this negativity thrown at you, and I'm just letting it boil over or letting it build up and build up and build up, it's like, okay, now I'm not trying to be negative towards him,
but you can't help it.
I can't help it. But also, when I sat him down, one-on-one, and I broke it down to him, because I asked him certain things, like I asked him, do you understand what rape means? And he said, yeah. I said, explain it to me. And his definition of it was spot on. So that means it's telling me a 10, 11, 12-year-old understands what rape means. Because and I told him, that's what your mother tried to accuse me of. That's what your mother tried to accuse me of. So you understand that. But you cannot come to me when you're 17 and be like, hey, Dad.
Honey, when I tell you, she tried to as fuck.
So when you
me and her almost came to blows several times.
Yeah. When you go to a certain extent to say that your dad tried to rape me or your dad, and then also she tried to tell the police that I abused her and him.
Yeah. So I gotta catch because I know. You said
so. Things like that.
I gotta kind of bring this to head. I think though, and again, me and you have had this conversation before. I do think, because like Janez said, you've had a lot of brokenness in your family.
Oh, yeah, we all have.
And but that's the problem with it. We've all had it, but we don't know how to heal from it.
And I'm an avid believer.
I am too now.
Counseling.
Right.
And individual. You
especially as a black man growing up, you're advocating now for fathers to have somewhere to have a voice and to talk about it, and you need that too,
right? And it's like the real raw feelings need to be put out there, because at the end of the day, people like generally mothers, because I hear this a lot from the mothers. It's like, oh, you shouldn't feel that way, you shouldn't act that way, you shouldn't look at them that way. But again, you're not understanding the way I feel about it, and probably many of other fathers are going to feel about it, because you guys are more nurturing, so you guys are more healing as a parent. But then as a father's point of view, we're supposed to be that stern and whatever.
And you have your right to, and that's why I said I had to take a second and stop and think. And it's like, until you heal, going to him is just going to keep that toxic trait going. And so it's one of those, like, I do feel like right now might not be the time for you, because D, I've been there. You've been through a lot. You've been through a lot between the divorce, your brother passing, your dad passing, losing everything. And I hate that we got so wrapped up in this topic that I didn't even get to what I wanted to about divorce. But I will bring you guys back so that we can have that conversation, because you two are closest to me that have been through a divorce. It sucks. It sucks. And again, because I'm here, I'm always one of those. I'm very transparent. As you guys see, Skip is not here. We are going through something right now, and I'm a firm believer when they say, "Damn it, sometimes it is cheaper to keep her with a divorce."
I can't say what I was going to say.
No, you can't. Because it's like, I've witnessed when you went through that divorce, you lost your own house that was in your name. It was like your divorce was horrible. You had the police come and tell you to get out your house that was in your name. And we purposely, when I tell you we purposely, before you got married, I said, put this house in your name. So if you go left, because I knew it was going to go left.
She tried to put at her own to live. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it really didn't matter, because, the police would come and tell me to leave.
They told him he had to leave.
That is the one thing. That's the one thing, is that it will always be fair or unfair. It is what it is, but they will always side with the woman.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to change, because at the end of the day, that should not be that. You should be able to listen to both parties and figure out, okay, who's right, who's wrong. Her parents live directly across the street. My camera in my driveway view their house. So you're telling me they're going to tell me to leave?
It was the weirdest shit ever that her parents. When I tell you, directly, you could sit in his kitchen and look out the window and look into their house. I said, that's the creepiest shit ever.
Yeah, that's weird.
It's so weird.
But you know what? It is weird. But way back when, Like, I lived there first in his apartment. I lived there first. But across the parking lot, my ex-husband, he was just my dude then, my BD then. But my ex-husband, like, so I live in this one across the parking lot, and if this building facing me, his baby mama lived over there, and then the one next door to her was his dad and his mama and siblings lived in that one. So it was like we was right, and it was so. But I mean, weird. It was weird.
It was like, so weird. But I do, I gotta unfortunately wrap this up. I love that we had to have this raw conversation on both ends, and I do appreciate both you guys coming here and being able to open up, because it is a conversation that needs to be had, because there are Black fathers out there that do want to be a part of their kid's life and do want to be there. And it's like, let me do this because I don't want you guys to have this negative perception of Donte. Donte is a great dad. He has 2 beautiful girls. And beyond what transpired and everything with his son, he still was very, very, very much so. I mean, when I tell you, I've seen him pay rent. I've seen him do things that I don't even know any other guys would do. Like how we talked about in your situation where what happened to your house. And it was like, he will open his doors up. When I was in that situation, his response was, well, you can bring her here, girl. Okay? So it's like, I don't want you guys to have to that negative, because like he is. But I do know that you've just got a lot of healing. And you do. And that's where it starts. We have to tell these men that it is okay to heal.
And to hurt.
And to hurt.
Well,
and that's what I was like.
The crazy part about it is the hurt is the easier part. The healing is the
hard
part.
Yes, it is.
The reason why that is because there's so much still wrapped up into everything else that you can't vent. It's like we're picturing this. We can't vent.
Yeah.
Because if we do vent, you're this.
You can't cry and things like
but
that.
At the end of the day, when you have true raw emotion, and then people come at you sideways or negative, that's okay. I'm okay with that because this is how I feel. If you're not in my shoes, then you can't tell me how I feel.
The other things about healing that sucks is the inward that you have to go.
Yeah.
You have to be able to be so transparent with you know, because other people, they matter. But when we're talking about self-care and self-healing of the self is what matters. Yeah. And that, in my opinion, just from my journey, oh my God, looking and calling myself out and having to check myself and be like, self was tripping.
Sometimes you have to literally clear your own mind and heal your own self. But then sometimes doing that, you can shut a lot of things down. You can shut a lot of emotion down. You can shut a lot of connections down with other people. But then at the end of the day, we all heal differently. Yeah. So this is my way of healing. Yeah. Who's gonna be right or wrong for telling me, oh, that's not right or that's wrong? To heal, but at the end of the day, because we all heal differently, and we all go through a different process, and it may not be the same. You may not agree with it, but at the end of the day, if it's what's gonna work for me, then it's
your path. And you're right. And again, I never want to take away from you. This is your path and your journey and your story. And you're right. Men heal differently from women.
Absolutely.
And everyone heals differently. So whatever that path is of you being able to heal. And I feel like once you get to that end of the path, you might have a different outlook on wanting to reach out for. But I think right now you're just on a journey, because I see the difference in you now than, you know, when we first met, when you was in 19, 20.
Because I had a kid.
But I see the growth in you, and I see it, and I see that you're trying to change. So maybe on this journey, you just have to take that time to get you together. Because a lot of times what we forget as parents is everything we do rubs off on our kids.
Oh, yes.
Everything.
Child, when we think they ain't looking.
Yeah, when they think they ain't looking, they feel that energy. They feel, even if we ain't talking to them about it, they feel it. They know.
Because I feel like with my girls.
Yeah,
and
they know.
I'm more active with my girls just because it just worked out that way, I guess. I don't know. But at the end of the day, like you said, they feel that energy, they feel that negative and positive energy, and that's a good thing. That's a great thing.
Yeah, so it is. So we have to just keep in mind that as we have this energy and we have that, because hell, I'm like you said, I had to sit down and be like, shit, I'm toxic as fuck.
That's
fuck.
I think we gotta not be afraid to seek counseling.
Yes. And I said, I grew up, I used to rebel. I grew up from social workers, okay? Mm-hmm. So I was always put in somebody's counseling, group therapy, art therapy, whatever kind of, so I rebelled as I got in my stance where I'm not doing this. This is garbage. I'm not doing this. But when I really got and decided, like, nah, it's me sometimes. It ain't always other people. It's me. I need to change. I need to heal. I'm hurt. I'm a broken woman. Right. I am a hurting woman. And that is affecting everybody in my life. And in this season, people have to go away. And if that's fine, because the ones that's meant to be in my life will be there, but that constant is my kids. Weed out. Now, when I tell you that I found the therapist that I like, one that looked like me, she can identify and relate. I think that also plays a part, because I'm not to be funny, but I can't talk to you and be open with you if you ain't never got no type of rationale about the been through or to go through or where I come from. So shoot, baby, every 2 weeks, honey. Yes, I'm here for it.
I completely agree. I think it took me to go into therapy, and then also, and that's why I keep saying to kids, some of the stuff that made me realize was just Kiara saying something. Mm-hmm. It was Kiara, like I told you. Well, no, I don't think you're wrong. The reason I left my last relationship before Skip was because Kiara came to me. Kiara came to me, and when I tell you, I felt like it was a dagger in my back. I was sitting here telling her about what type of man that she's supposed to look for and what to expect. And she said, well, if that's the case, mommy, then why do you let him talk to you the way he do? Why do you let him do the way you do? Do you know that hurts so bad? Because it's like, this is my 13, 14-year-old daughter saying it so much that it was just like, damn, so she is paying attention to what's going on. Yeah. She's seeing that.
Sometimes they're too young to verbally express it. And when they get to a certain age, when they verbally can't express it, then that's where it comes up.
It hurts.
And it does. And I would tell you, your kids will humble you. Ooh. And when I just said, like, a little bit ago with D, when he hit me with the, my traumas and being broken and coming from a broken home, which I can't even call it that because my mom and my daddy were never in the same home. Mm-hmm. So, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I never knew that coming up. But where him feeling like just because I survived adversity that he felt like I was directly putting them, where in all actuality, sometimes, and I can say it now, I couldn't admit my flaws and faults before, but I can say it now that sometimes I was thinking about me. I became a mama 2 weeks after my 19th birthday. So I've been a mama my whole life. That was my choice. But some situations I created, I caused, I did fucked up stuff. I put us in horrible situations, and then that trickled down on my kids. And so now it's like I'm at a place where I can't control what happened before, but I can do better now. Yeah. And they still matter. I don't care because you're a little bit older, you legally grown. Like, you show me every day. I'm still mama, and you still need me to rock like I'm mama. You know what I'm saying? But they will humble you.
Yeah, that journey don't stop. Mm-hmm. It don't. That journey goes on, and I'm realizing that now as I'm taking on this new chapter with her getting ready to go off to school and everything, and just realizing more of what I need to work on. And it's like, you're on that journey right now, and it's okay. You have every right to be on that journey to figure out what works for you. I remember at a point in time, you said the reason why my relationships don't work is because I'm the man in the relationship. Yeah. Because I was a man in the relationship. He told me that. He was like, you want to know why guys keep leaving you? Because you want to be the nigga in the relationship.
Oh, I done got that too.
But you want to know why? Because I didn't have my dad there to just soften me up. I can sit here and say, I look for the love with all the wrong type of guys. Until I realized that I needed to heal. And from childhood on through adulthood and everything. Yeah. We forget that childhood drama carries on through your life. Yeah. And that's what, as our community, we need to start addressing it. The men need to start addressing it. Yeah. Suicide rates are not just high with fathers, but they're just high in general with black people and black men. Because we have this stigma that we can't talk about it. It's shame. We call you a bitch and all this stuff. No, we got to stop that.
And they don't want to do nothing to help it either. Why they want to cut off abortion? Because they out there, the Caucasians is having more abortions than we are. You know what I'm saying?
And that's another thing. Like, you're saying that we have to change all of that. But again, like, okay, so say if you're in a committed relationship and you come, as a male, you come to your lady or whatever.
She's supposed to support you.
Yeah. Right? And, you should not have to get that backlash from oh, yeah, you can tell me these things, or yeah, you can open up to me, but then on the flip side, when we get in an argument, it's
you this and that, and that's what we have to change.
Right, and have to change. But the only way that can change is if the women change their mentality as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm speaking in general. It is a general.
Yeah,
we all have to change.
Vice versa, because women should be able to open up to their men as
well.
Yes, it goes both ways.
But in our society, growing up, and Miss Marie, I know you know, it was frowned on. You don't go talk to nobody.
Yeah,
you suck it up. You do, especially black women.
We ain't in the house. Stay in the house.
We ain't have time to. I was raised. You ain't got time to cry. You need to figure out how to fix it.
So
my problem is I don't know how to express my emotions.
See, my thing was I always come in. Like I said, I came in my mama and my grandmother. So they was always pushing on. You need to talk about it. You need to, till it got to the point because of how I was raised up, and so it got to the point with me that like I don't want to do none of that. Like if I'm gonna struggle, I'm gonna struggle. If I'm going, or I never,
it's so much.
Real.
It's real.
I was not emotionally mature at all. I did not know how to deal with my emotions at all. I spazzed. I popped off. I did. That was how I dealt with my emotions so horribly. I did not have emotional maturity, or I mean, I treated everybody. You made me mad. You did something, or a man I'm in a relationship with. I was a horrible person to be around a lot of the times, and it wasn't that like I was cool until I got angry or until I got my feelings hurt, and that was because I came up where I'm gonna go talk about it, or you gonna give me something to coax what I'm feeling, but I wasn't taught how to regulate and to deal with it. And so for a long time, I got myself bound up in a lot of trouble. I made people not want to be around me and not want to deal with me. Or I drowned my issues, whatever my issues was. I'm about to drink them problems away, baby.
And that's where we have to start realizing how to change, because when you don't know yourself, then you get in these relationships, and then it's you toxic and he toxic, but neither one of y'all know y'all toxic.
And we just regular.
Y'all, you thinking it's regular, and then, once that honeymoon phase disappears, then you see the toxicity, and he is this, but we're quick to he ain't shit, he doing this, instead of saying yes. And I'm a firm believer, and I've always said this: everything in life has the cause and effect. I can sit here and say, the 4 years that I was in my abusive relationship, and again, let's take it this way, I'm not condoning what he did, but one of the things he wanted was for me to just go hang out with him, but I was too focused on doing other shit. So then he started going out, then he started cheating, then the argument started, then that's where the violence started. And it was like one of those, as I sit back and think about it now, I'll be like, damn, I wasn't doing shit but laying in bed. I could have got him one. I could have got him one.
And then it's like, one of us will start being disrespectful, not the other one being
disrespectful. And it's a consistent thing. And then bam, that's where all that shit starts.
All of it coming from.
So it's like, and this is why I love having this show, because it's being able to talk about this and making other people aware. And I definitely will have you guys back again, so that we can continue to discuss, because there was other things I wanted to talk about, but this was such a good topic, because that I let it just keep going.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
I hope you guys had fun. Thank you so much. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you guys so much for being here. Next Saturday, guess what Saturday it is? It's Grape Gossip before she call and kill me. Q is back. She's bringing another wine and some glasses. She's going to educate us on the wine and everything. And of course, I always got another juicy topic to talk about. So make sure you guys tune in next Saturday, 11 to 1, No Static Radio. Make sure you go to the website, nostaticradio.net. You can check me out on IG, Facebook, TikTok at Intimacy Lounge for you. And make sure you check us out on all streaming platforms. And my motto, if you ever want to come, please come, have a seat, take a sip, and get a little intimate with me. You guys have fun, and I will see you next week. Peace. Bye.
That was good.
Thank you. I'm glad you guys definitely enjoyed it. I definitely will have to have you back. I'm at my phone, both of them. I don't know why my phone started overheating.
Running so much.
It's just, they set these phones up to where after a couple of years, it just stopped working. I had this phone for almost 4 years.
And I be like, no, they really made the phone stop working. Like, stop playing.
I had this phone for like 4 years. It overheat now so quickly, and Kira's tablet wasn't charged this time. It was
that's like a personal problem.
You know what it is? It's just I was thrown off so much, and just to give you a little thing, I ended up, I've been with Skip for 4 years. We've been married for 3, and it's always been a financial issue with him. He would not keep a job, and I started off in the beginning trying to be a good woman because his baby mama left him for the same issue. Oh, wow. But me being me, because I was in love, I was like, nah, fuck you. She should have held you down, this, and that. So I tried to do that. So where he get a job, he quit. It's cool. I got it because I make good money. Yeah. But I did it so much that he got comfortable. So we've been in this financial situation. It started last May. Okay. Mind you, May is about to come the fuck up. Yeah. We always split our bills. He had the light bill. He wasn't paying it. I didn't know it. Lights got fucking cut off. And it was at a point where I couldn't get it back. So when I was trying to get it back, because now he's not working, it's just me, I fell behind on the rent. That's how we ended up losing the house. Okay. Then we were staying in hotels, motels. It got too much for me to pay for it. Yes. So that's when we decided he stayed at his mom's house. I was staying at my friend's house. I got him a job at Cleveland Clinic. He was working, cool. I left Cleveland Clinic, went to UH. I don't know what transpired because I wasn't there anymore. He was like, oh man, they about to get ready to fire me. I said, well, try to figure out what you do. And this is now October. He quit.
What? Does he go late or?
I don't even know what was going on because when I was there, he was cool. They was wanting to promote him all this shit. Yeah. So now this is October. He ends up quitting without even talking to me. So now I'm in a situation
That was at Marymount.
Yeah, that was at Marymount. So now I'm in a situation where you just quit. We're in a hotel. But this is before we even went to his mom's house. So I'm like, fuck, all right. This is when I learned about dashing. But I hadn't had the car yet. Remember, my car was messing up. So I was like, we can't afford this. So he goes to his mom's house. My car ended up just stopped. Yeah. So that was when I was renting the cars. Now, mind you, it's still me working. Yeah. He's telling me he's applying. Nothing. Nothing. I ended up, my friend told me about the car lot where you write a check for 30 days down deposit and you pay again. So that's how I went and got my car. Okay. All right, cool. Signed up for DoorDash. So he was DoorDashing while I was at work. Cool. He was on it at first. Yeah. 7. So when I got off, we go out to like 8, 9 o'clock. Then it slowly stopped. Where he was going out for a couple hours and then nothing. Mind you, I still got to pay this note. Yes. On top of, I still have other bills. And it was like,
Little Mama
and her stuff. Yes. And then it came to a point where I'm working 7 days a week. Because I'm out here dashing. I'm out here getting off work. After being at work from 7:30 to 6, I'm out here to 10 o'clock doing it while he's just cool. Chilling. So 3 weeks. What's this? This is February. January comes. I'm like, why ain't nobody fucking calling you? So I made him an Indeed account and put an application in. A week later, they called. Somebody called, gave him a job. Cool, you got a job. Job's paying them $20 an hour. Whoa. This is how we can get out this situation. Because right now, me and my child are in a bedroom. She's on an air mattress. I am on a twin mattress. Yeah. And I'm at a point now like, hey, damn, I'm tired of this. Yeah. Because if I ain't got you, I know I can make it. Yeah. But I'm trying to be still supportive. Right. He gets a job first week. He's complaining. His third shift, they were moving refrigerators. My body hurt. Remember I called you? Yeah. This, and that. He's like, oh. One day he was like, oh, I think I'm going to leave early. Because they had the option to leave early when it's slow. Right. So I'm like, are you going to get paid if you leave early? He like, no. I said, you know this check you getting is supposed to be the check for us to move. All right. So then he's like, oh, he ended up staying. Next week come. He texts me like, oh, man, my body hurt. I don't think I'm going to go to work today. I said, you need to go to the hospital? He like, nah, my body hurt. I just think I need more sleep. Nigga, if you don't get up and go to motherfucking work.
Yeah, yo lazy ass.
Lazy ass.
That's all it is.
All it is. So then, he didn't go. He called off. 2 days. Yeah. Oh, fuck that shit. Bring me my motherfucking car. Yes. Now, I'm pissed. All right. Fast forward, he tells me the story that they ended up laying him off.
What?
All of this shit. It was some crazy story. I don't know if it's true because, I wasn't there. All right, cool. We're now leading into my birthday. I told him I didn't want anything big for my birthday, but I did want a dinner. So he was like, oh, well, I don't like parties. It's not about you. It's about me.
Come on now.
Don't you want to celebrate your wife? Do something?
Yeah.
Because I'm pissed.
Yeah.
So I tell my best friend
this. This how you end up being the assertive person you are that people want to try and dish you for, but this the reason why.
This is why.
Okay.
So my best friend ends up doing everything. She was like, he wasn't responding, wasn't doing this. He didn't even give her any money. Damn. Fast forward to my birthday, which is a Saturday. I'm up lifting for money. I call him, what you got on the birthday? He like, oh, I got $40. We went to the melting pot. It is $55 a fucking person.
Girl, we're talking about this birthday just a couple weeks ago.
This birthday just a fucking couple weeks ago. Girl, no. So again, enough.
That ain't the tip for the drinks. We got to tip the bartender.
Man, and he's sitting at home. I said, you gonna go out and dash? You gonna borrow some money? Because it's 3 of us. It's me, you, and Kiara.
Yeah.
We gotta eat. So he like, oh, I'll figure it out. So as the day going, I'm now got to get ready because I got people coming. This nigga still at home. I said, oh, well, what you doing? Because I'm not paying for you. So he ended up borrowing money. Get to it, he only had enough money to pay for dinner. So we get to the bar. I'm spending the little bit of money I had to get me a drink and get him something. Why the fuck am I paying for myself? I'm embarrassed. I let it go. On top of that, he was planning shit that wasn't even what I liked. Oh. Like the dinner, he was planning at places where it was cool when we went, but it wasn't like a big thing. And on top of it, the list that I gave them, he was separating the list. So he had certain people coming to the dinner and then certain people coming to after. I said, why would you do that? I would never do my friends like that. Right. Find somewhere where all of them could come. Then he was about to get an Airbnb big enough so that people could come and spend the night. I said, why the fuck would you do that? That's not what I want.
Put that money towards dinner.
Yeah. Or what I wanted. I said, what I told you I wanted was to get a hotel room because I'm sleeping on this twin bed so I could rest. He was like, well, I figure people want to come and kick. They can do that in the hotel room and go. I said, you know me, I don't like people like that. I only can spend so much time with people and then you got to go. Yeah. So I'm pissed about that. I let it go. All right, cool. I told him I gave him a time limit. You got to get a job. As we're going. I'm the one, he's at home, and I'm the one still hustling, doing Lyft. So fast forward to, what was that, last Saturday?
Yeah.
Or Sunday?
Last Sunday.
We come to it, when he got his check from the job that got laid off, he was supposed to give me half on the phone bill. The phone bill was already big, because, again, I'm trying to do all this stuff. Yes. And I was in the hospital, too. Mind you, when I was in the hospital for those 4 days, he didn't even stay with me. He would come visit, complain that he can't get comfortable, and he would leave me. My own husband. Boy. Yes, that's what the problem is.
Yes.
So Saturday comes, I'm like, all right.
Find another woman after you.
Never, nothing.
Yeah.
Because when he met me, when he moved into my apartment, he had a bag. I got him clothes, shoes. I started to where the point. Skip, when I met him, wasn't even doing his hair. Now this nigga got waves. I made him have confidence about himself.
Right.
So I'm telling him, hey, we got to pay the phone bill because it's about to get disconnected. All right, I'm out here hustling. It is Sunday. I got to go to work. I have been out since I left you on Saturday. I was lifting all day Sunday to late at night. So I went, my grandma in the hospital and things. So I went to go see my grandma. He had a Mason meeting. I said, cool, after the Mason meeting. I said, what you gonna do? He was like, oh, I'm gonna go back out. All right, cool. I called him an hour later. No answer. I'm calling, no answer. I called his mama phone. Mom gave me the phone. Guess what he was doing? Sleep. I said, Skip, that's not, I said, Xavier. Not you ain't even Skip no more. Now you Xavier. Xavier, I said, this is your phone. It's not fair. I paid my end. This is your phone.
Right.
So I'm pissed. He like, fine. He go out. It starts snowing. Remember, it was snowing. So I'm out. It's 8:30. It's snowing. It's dark. And I'm on 105 about to pick somebody up. Okay, I have a phobia when it snows bad because I got in a car accident. So, of course, I text him, babe, my anxiety is on 10. This is where, you know how you had a moment where you just snap? This is where I snapped. Girl, wait, listen. He texted back after I told him that. He said, me too.
Right.
Me too. Me too. I was like, Xavier, go home. He like, well, I just picked up another order. Go home. I said, well, when you go home, you better run me that $250 for your phone bill.
The $250 phone bill.
Yeah, because it was behind. Nice. It was behind, and I got phone plus Kira's phone. So it was like, no, run me that money. And I just sent him a text. I said, dude, I can't keep doing this. I said, I've been nothing but a supportive wife to you. I have been there for you. I've done everything. I said, you know how embarrassed I was at my birthday, but I let the shit go. I said, but you know what the straw that broke the camel's back is when my daughter came to me and was like, Mom, you can have my next 2 paychecks so that you can pay the bills and we can move. And I told her, no, babe, this is your money. You helped with prom. That's it. She said, no, I'm tired of seeing you sad. She was like, Daddy ain't helping you with prom. She was like, Skip ain't doing nothing. And she was like, I'm tired of seeing you hurt. You know how bad that made me feel that my own child want to help me pay? I said, and you don't think nothing wrong with it. Nothing.
Oh, yeah, he got the good.
Girl.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I sent him legally separation papers. What really did it was when I called his sister and I told her, and I knew he hadn't told them nothing. They knew nothing was going on. I was like, look.
They wonder why he was staying with the mom.
They knew nothing was going on. And I told him, I said, listen, I lost everything. I lost my storage.